Class, our today's new topic is shadow. So, we have read that an opaque object does not allow light to pass through it. We all know about opaque objects. It completely obstructs the light. If an opaque object is placed in front of a point source of light, it obstructs the passage of light and produces a dark patch on a screen placed behind the object. This dark patch is called the shadow of the opaque object. So class, the light which is not pass through this pencil, that create a darkness, and that darkness is known as shadow. The shadow is formed because light from the source travel in straight lines. The rays which falls on the objects are blocked and they do not reach the screen. You can see class, the shape of the shadow is same like this pencil. The light which is not cross this pencil, it creates that shadow. Thus, a portion on a screen does not receive any light and remain dark. This dark portion on a screen is called shadow of the object. So class, for a point source of light, the shadow of an opaque object on a screen is completely dark. It is called umbra. But with an extended source of shadow of an opaque object on the screen is dark, and the center which is surrounded by some brightness or dim, the dark portion is the shadow is called umbra, while the surrounding portion of a less brightness is called penumbra. So what is umbra? It is the portion of a shadow where no light reaches from the source of light. Due to the opaque object, it is completely dark. Like in this time, you can see the shadow of this pen. It is completely dark, so it is known as umbra. So this shadow is actually umbra class. So this dark portion of shadow is known as umbra. And now if I am talking about penumbra, it is the portion of shadow where a portion of light from the source of light reaches the shadow even in the presence of the opaque object in between them. It is not completely dark, but it is dim, or we can say it is less bright. And now class, formation of umbra alone. Umbra alone is obtained on a screen when the opaque object is illuminated by a point source of light. It's very important class. Your umbra can only be obtained when you have a point source of light, and you all aware about point source of light. Point source of light means class, when you have a small portion from where light can come outside. So this hole is known as point source. This is a source of light, but this is a point source of light. So for your umbra, it is very important that you have a point source of light. So now you can see this is your point source of light. Take a piece of cardboard, make a small hole in it and put a lighted candle or an electric lamp behind it. Place a screen in front of the cardboard like this. This is your screen. So place a screen in front of cardboard at some distance from it like this. You just take your screen in some distance from your object. Now place an opaque object AB. This is your AB, say a coin, in between the hole and the screen as shown. So this is your coin, this is your candle, this is your hole, or we can say this is your point source. So the image of the coin which is formed in this screen, it is completely dark and it is the umbra. So how it is formed class, it is very important now. So class, how your umbra is obtained here. Try to understand. From your point source, there are so many rays which are comes out. So in between, this ray is also come, this ray is also come, this ray. So there are so many rays which are come outside. So these black rays are taking from the edges of this coin. So it means if I am talking about the point source, then the light comes out, and the light, the most outer rays which are these two, they just go from this point and this point, and in between there are so many rays which are blocked by this opaque object. This is your opaque object, your coin is your opaque object. So this is a coin, so it's an opaque object and it is obstruct the light. So there is no light in between this part. So in this part there is no light. So because of that, this portion is completely dark. And when you have a screen, then that dark portion is look like same like the shape of that particular object. It's your coin, so it is also look like a coin which is too much dark. This is how umbra is obtained on the screen. And it's important class, if this is your screen and if you take your screen near to the object, then your screen's size is decreasing, and if you take your screen far from the object, then size of the umbra is increasing. If I am taking my screen here, suppose this is the screen, so in this time class your umbra is formed between these two rays here also, so you can see it is decreasing in this time. And if I am talking about these rays, these are the rays, and if I take my screen here, then your umbra is formed like this. So you can see when you take your screen far from the object, your umbra is increasing, and if you take it near to the object, then at that time your umbra is decreasing. Now class, second case is formation of umbra and penumbra both. Umbra and penumbra both are obtained on the screen when the opaque object is illuminated by an extended source of light such as burning candle and glowing torch. It means class, to form umbra and penumbra both, we don't need any point source. We only need source of light, and source of light means any source of light, either it's your candle or either it's your bulb. So how this umbra and penumbra formed? If I am talking about this source of light, this is candle, this is your coin, and this is where your umbra and penumbra both are obtained. But it's very important class, if I am talking about point source of light, at that time you have only a single source of light here, then your light can come from this part. But for this candle, there is a point P and there is a point Q from where your light can come, and there are so many other points in between P and Q. So we are not take each and every point, we just take the most upper point and the most lower point of the point source. Now if I am talking about this point source and if I am talking about this point source Q, so from P there are so many rays are comes out, so we are talking about only those rays which are touch point A and point B. So from P, this is the ray which touch the point A and this is the ray which touch the point B. Same like with Q, this is the ray which touch point A, this is the ray this touch the point B. So class, it's very important, try to understand what is going on now. It's very important class, if you have only one point source P, then at that time if we are talking about this point and this point, these are the rays, so definitely in this part there is a umbra. If only we are talking about P, like we did it here, if you have only two rays, so in between two rays there should be umbra. So definitely here also umbra will be formed, but it's not only point P here, the point Q is also here class. So these two rays are coming from P, and it's not only about these two rows, there are so many rows which are come class, but because of this opaque object, these rays which are coming from P, they are not able to cross this coin or this opaque medium. So only this ray and this ray can reach here in the screen. And if I am talking about Q, again from Q also there are so many rays which are going in this direction. And class, if I am talking about Q, so there are so many rays which are going there in that direction. So I am talking about the ray which touch the point A and the ray which touch the point B, and in between there are so many rays are also going, but they all are obstructed by this. So this AB is obstruct the rays between P and Q. There are so many rays which are coming. Those rays are obstructed by AB, and from Q also there are so many rays which are going in this direction. They are also obstructed by this coin. So now class, you have 4 rays. So now class, there is not only umbra but also penumbra is also formed. Because of these two inner rays, this portion, because this portion is totally black class, you can see this portion is totally black, so this is formed a shadow which is umbra. You can see class, this is your coin and the rays which are going in this direction and in this direction. This is the direction where your umbra is formed. So this is the umbra. And if I am talking about penumbra, these rays, you know class, in between this ray and this ray, or this ray to this ray, here you have a small amount of light is pass. A very small amount of light is pass through this portion. So here, because of this, there is a formation of another shadow which is penumbra. So class, this is your umbra, this is dark portion, so it is your umbra, this dark portion is umbra, and this outer portion is penumbra. This is umbra and this is penumbra. So this is how umbra and penumbra formed. So class, these two rays which just touch A and B and go straight, they create umbra, and these rays which are touch B and A and going outside, then they create penumbra, because here in this portion there is a small amount of light is there. So just because of that class, they create penumbra here. And class, next topic is formation of penumbra only. If the size of source of light is bigger than the size of an opaque object, the size of umbra is very small. If the screen is moved away from the object, the umbra vanishes and only the penumbra remains. So they give you here some conditions class. The conditions are, if the size of source of light is bigger than the size of opaque object. This is the first condition to form penumbra. Second, the size of umbra is very small, so we can move away screen from the object, then only you can see penumbra only. So here class, you can see in this time the same candle is there, the same coin is there, the same screen is there, and we already do it in our previous topic. So this is umbra, this is penumbra. So here class, what they said, only you just do one thing, your opaque object should be smaller than the source of light, and also you have to take your screen far from object, so then only your this ray is going in that direction, so your umbra is very small, so it vanishes here. But only this part, you can see class, this part is continuously growing. So here, this is your penumbra and your umbra is getting smaller and smaller here, but your penumbra is getting larger and larger here. So this is how you create your penumbra. So to form penumbra only, take first the same procedure how you form umbra and penumbra, and then you have to take your screen far from the object and take your source of light a little bit bigger than the object. Then you can form the penumbra. And class, our next topic is eclipses. Eclipses are example of formation of shadow in nature. So there are two kinds of eclipse. First is lunar eclipse, or we can say eclipse of moon, and second is solar eclipse, we can say eclipse of sun. So when lunar eclipse and solar eclipse formed, lunar eclipse is due to the formation of shadow of earth on moon, and solar eclipse is due to the formation of shadow of moon on earth. So class, This is sun, this is earth, and this is moon. So you all know the orbit of earth and the moon. Orbit of the earth is around the sun and orbit of the moon is around the earth. So the moon and the earth is moving. So because of some special condition or specific conditions, there are eclipses. So let's understand. So if I am talking about lunar eclipse, on a certain full moon night when the earth comes in between sun and moon. So it's important class, when earth comes between sun and moon. So here earth is between sun and moon. The earth casts its shadow on the moon. So because this sun is the source of light, so sun rays are going in this direction and the shadow of earth is putting on moon. So there is a lunar eclipse. The part of moon which lies within the umbra of the earth will not be visible from the earth, thus the lunar eclipse takes place. So it's very simple class, the shadow of the earth is there, that's why there is a lunar eclipse. If the sun, the earth and the moon are in a straight line, the whole moon is in the umbra of the earth, it causes total lunar eclipse. But if they are slightly out of the line, only a part of moon is in the penumbra of the earth and a partial lunar eclipse occurs. How your lunar eclipse formed? So class, sun is the source of light. So take the most upper part and most lower part from which you can obtain the shadow. So from higher point we take two rays. You all know class, the first ray is going from the top point A and the second point is B. So from point, suppose this is point P, this is point Q. So from point P there are so many rays which are going in this direction, but all the rays are obstructed by the earth here and only this ray and this ray can go further. So this ray and this ray is going further. Now same for point Q. This is the ray and here all the rays are obstructed by the earth, but only this ray and this ray can go further. So now class, just because of that you all know it's just like umbra and penumbra. So the rays which are going outside like this and this, they create penumbra, and the rays which are going inside, those create umbra. So this is your umbra and this portion I told you how your umbra and penumbra formed. So this is the portion where your penumbra formed. So this is for umbra and this rest portion for penumbra. So class, if your moon is in this position, then umbra is there, it means it's total lunar eclipse. But if your moon is here or maybe here, this is the portion for penumbra, so it's a partial lunar eclipse formed here. So hope you all understand class. So class, it's just based on the formation of umbra and penumbra. And now class, this is solar eclipse. On a certain new moon's day, when the moon comes in between the sun and the earth, the moon casts its shadow on earth. So in this time class, between sun and earth, moon is here. So again the shadow are formed in earth in this time. So this cause the solar eclipse. So here again, this is your source of light, this is moon, this is earth. Again class, this is your point P, this is your point Q. From point P, two rays are there, from the point A and from the point B. So for this, in between there are so many rays which obstruct by the moon, and only this ray and this ray can come. From point Q also, so many rays are coming and all the rays are obstruct here, only this ray and this ray. So class, this ray and this ray can come further. So you all know these two rays are formed penumbra, and these two rays which are coming inside, it is formed umbra. So class, this is point A, this is point B, this is point C. So this is the point where your umbra is formed, and rest of the part is for penumbra. So now let's understand. From the part A on the earth which lies in the umbra of the moon. So class, this is the umbra. The sun is not visible from this point because it's a dark portion class. It's a umbra, so it's completely dark. So from this point, the person who is here, he is not able to see sun because it's a umbra. But from B and C, it's penumbra. So a portion of light is coming here. So the person who is here in B point and in C point, they can see a little bit sun. So here the partial solar eclipse be here. So in same day class, in one place there is a complete solar eclipse, but for B and C it's partial solar eclipse. So total solar eclipse occurs of the part A on the earth. To the people in this part A on the earth, the sun appears as a black circular disk with a ring of light as shown in this figure. So for point A, it's complete solar eclipse. But here, this is a figure, appears a total solar eclipse. Class, so many times we also observe this kind of solar eclipse. So at that time, we are in the part of Umbra, point A. And for point B and C, Earth which lies in the penumbra of the moon, the solar eclipse is a partial. And now class, we are talking about an annular solar eclipse. So when it occurs, it only occurs when only the tip of the umbra of the moon falls on the earth at a point D. It means class, a small tip is formed in earth. Then we can say that is annular solar eclipse. So here class, you can see this is your outer line, this is also your outer line, it is your penumbra. But for this inner line, this is the point D, and class, it is not going too deep to the earth. It is only a tip which touch the earth. So in this time, because your umbra is formed in a very specific part, or we can say it's a very small place from where umbra is formed, so it is known as annular solar eclipse. And class, from the point D, the sun will appear to be completely obstructed by the moon. Only the outer rim of the sun called corona is then visible for very short time, which is known as a diamond ring. So class, this is your point D, and in annular solar eclipse, the sun is completely dark. Only you can see the outer ring. Only you can see that outer ring from the point D, and it is known as diamond ring. You can see that diamond ring in a very small frame of time. So this is known as annular solar eclipse.